So a couple months ago, I found this photographer, Garrett King. He's at SHORTSTACHE on Instagram. His style is quite unique, and since then, his feed has become one of my favorites on Instagram. So today, I just wanted to make this video to kind of break it down and show you what makes his style unique. And before we get into that, I want to clarify that this is not a tutorial. I don't want you to watch this video, then turn around and rip off his style. Instead, this is more of just a breakdown showing you what he does, a bit of how he does it, and also most importantly, why he makes the choices that he does and the impact that it can have on the person looking at the photo. The first thing we need to talk about is how he shoots his photos, because like any other photographer's style and process, the way that he takes these pictures is absolutely reflected in the edit. A lot of his photos are taken with relatively wide lenses like a 24 or 35mm, and a lot of the lenses that he uses are also a very wide aperture like f1.4. Shooting at this wide aperture allows him to have that creamy blurred out background, and one interesting thing that he does to take advantage of that is have the subject kind of off center at the very edge or the bottom of the frame. Much like myself, this dude seems to be a huge fan of rainy days. A lot of his photos are taken at a time where it's just rained or it's actually raining during the shoot. Shooting in the rain results in very soft, even lighting and also a very cloudy, moody gray sky with a lot of detail retained in it. The rain also makes his photos kind of wet, right? So there's a lot of puddles, mist, and just wet surfaces with drops of water on them. He takes that moody, dramatic, rainy day vibe and really pushes it in the edit. Most of his photos have a very dark, moody feel to them. Despite the fact that he's going for a very moody look, he doesn't add a ton of contrast. He retains almost all of the detail in the highlights and also raises the black point to wash out the shadows. The big technique he's using here is shooting his photos as raw files, which retains a lot of information in the photo. So basically he can go in and bring down the highlights and raise the shadows to bring back a lot of that detail throughout the image. Another thing in his photos that's just as consistent as that dark, moody feeling is the choice of colors. Most of his photos are predominantly orange and gray, but he also, depending on the photo, lets a bit of green and blue bleed into the image, but not without desaturating the hell out of it. To achieve these colors, he's probably using a hue saturation slider in either Lightroom or Photoshop to take those individual colors in the image and shift them around and change the saturation individually. A lot of photographers on Instagram use techniques like this to build out a unique style of colors and lighting in their feed, but Garrett King takes it one step further by adding things over the edit in his photos. If you look at his photos, a lot of the time you'll see text actually on the photo. This is usually a name, a location, or just a couple words to sum up what the post is about. The text is almost always white with a very modern, minimal font, and it's kind of blended into the photo or placed in a creative way to make it fit into the scene. One way that he'll do this is by taking advantage of that off-center subject that we talked about earlier. So by adding that negative space into the image, it gives him a nice spot to add the text in so it has its own space and stands out against that blurred out background. As if text wasn't enough, he also likes to draw on top of the photos. Just like the text, the designs are all white, very simple, and if you look at the edges, it appears that he's doing this by actually using a tablet that's attached to his computer and drawing on it that way. Using an actual tablet to draw over the photos gives them a very kind of rough, homemade, notebook sketch type style. The text and sketches over the photos make this style very unique, but they also give more information and context than just nice images. You can learn something new by looking at the images, and in this way, I think he's more of a storyteller than most photographers on Instagram. A lot of travel photographers on Instagram like to post photos of themselves in these destinations, but if you look at Garrett's feed, you'll see that he doesn't post that many pictures of himself in front of the camera. It seems he's more interested in sharing the people, the animals, and the important landmarks that make these places special. As much as his visual style stands out from the rest, it's the story behind it that's most important. So I hope you've enjoyed this video or thought about something new after watching it, and if you did, do feel free to share your support by leaving a like on the video, sharing it with your friends, or even subscribing to my channel. I upload 2 new filmmaking tutorials every single week. But that's all for now. Keep creating, and I'll see you in the next one.